I've been looking for the next car for this series, and I've been thinking a lot about the Mustang Mach-E. So we're going to talk about the Mach-E today because the entire Mustang community seems pretty upset about it. But they're upset because the Mustang name is being proliferated, but the Mustang name is also being used on a vehicle that doesn't really seem like it's a Mustang. The question is it a car? Well, from the press release here, yes, it's shown where I believe on Streets of Willow in California, the racetrack, showing you that indeed in the GT trim level, it is on a racetrack. Okay, that's good, but on the other hand, it looks like an SUV. So is it an SUV? I mean, can it do some of the light off-roading, a little bit of soft roading? Can you park it next to the Bronco? Will it look like it's from the same family? If there is a forthcoming pickup truck version of this thing, it's definitely not a Mustang. Or is it just made for ride sharing? Well, Ford has made it clear that their future product portfolio is going to be made up mostly of SUVs, which is fine. So we, as enthusiasts, cannot blame Ford. They're brilliant, actually. They're taking advantage of what the market is buying and using a familiar name, which I believe will bring people to the brand more than they ever have. I believe Ford will sell a lot of these, but it just doesn't seem like the right vehicle to start with, even though I know SUVs are selling. What it seems like Ford needs is to ease us into this brave new world of SUVs only, except for the Mustang, but now that isn't really inclusive of the Mustang anyway. So what I believe Ford needs is a compromise between a car that can be a sports car. It's a four-door sports car. Don't look at the wheels because they're irrelevant at this point. It will only color your opinion about the design. Just look at the design itself. It's also a little bit SUV, so it could hold people and gear, but it also looks like it could be safariized and go off-road and do quite well. And it also still looks like a Mustang, just inherent in the package itself. Here's what works. I love technology. I love the future. I love where we're going as car enthusiasts. I love the old school. I love the new school. I love tech. But what Ford has done here, from a design standpoint, is keep this sweep of the A-pillar from the front all the way to the roofline, sweeping towards the back. But what that means is it cuts into the rear passenger headroom. So what Ford had to do here is actually raise the roof. And it looks like you're wearing a scarf on your head or a bandana with the fold in the back. It just looks like a little bit of scarf back there, but it's blacked out. You don't notice it quite as much because it raises the headliner right there and it gives you more actual interior space. So what you're looking at now, just in this area alone up here, is better passenger rear headroom. That's important if you're going to position it as an SUV. But Mustangs have always had 4 seats. That's not really something new to the Mustang. So we could really just keep 4 seats, but does it have to be the most rear headroom possible as we're easing into this new SUV world? So here it is again. Look at that roofline sweep all the way up to the top here, and that little scarf area, that bandana area, giving you more rear passenger headspace. Okay, clever, I like that. But then from a side view, look at this. The body side proportions tell me it's an SUV, but the rocker is heavily blacked out just to reduce the visual height of the body side. So it actually looks a little bit slimmer, not quite as tall, so it's more car-like in that sense. Designers have gotten very clever here with this one. Ford has also taken a page from Tesla's playbook, and on one hand, they're inventing an entirely new class of vehicle. They're using the Mustang name, but on the interior, they're taking too many cues from Tesla. The giant screen really doesn't need to be quite that high. What if Ford instead gave us this screen, but it could be positioned 3 ways, high, medium, low, and you could actually position it for how big you are as a driver and for where you want the screen. It looks distracting to me. It looks like all you're going to be doing is staring at this giant screen. But we're really talking about the overall proportions, the thing that tells you it is a Mustang and the thing that we as Mustang enthusiasts will believe. I don't think the Mach-E really knows what it wants to be. It doesn't know if it's a car, it doesn't know if it's an SUV. What I want is this easing us into the new world, but I also like the idea of a 4-door sedan. It's very believable. What I'm looking for is a vehicle that will scare the Model S and scare the Porsche Taycan. I want something in between that could be a sports car. It could be the SUV. Just one simple line on the back tells me it's got more cargo space. Right, that back glass, that just tells me it's more SUV-like, CUV-like. It can hold more, it can do more rather than a sedan shape. When Porsche decided that they were going to build a four-door 911, they didn't call it a 911. They took a lot of styling cues directly off of the 911 to do that. But they didn't call it the 911. Aston Martin, when they wanted to make a four-door Vantage to bring in more customers, they didn't call it the four-door Vantage, they called it the Rapide. It's something else. But it took a lot of styling cues directly from the Vantage. What they did was increase the wheelbase. And interestingly, the wheelbase on the Mach-E is 117 inches. Okay, just put that in your mind. 117 inches, it's pretty long. It's pretty decent for an SUV, but for a car, that's fairly long, but the proportions can be managed. Get this, the Panamera is 116 inches, and the Model S is 116.5. So what if proportionally we brought it down to be more car-like? It would fit right in between the Tesla Model S and the Panamera. And personally, I think that's where the styling should go. We are going just a little bit longer on the wheelbase here, starting to pull Mustang elements out of it, but my mindset is four-door sedan. It's something that can still do it all, but four seats is not a new thing to the Mustang. Something else that has come up in the styling here has been the frunk. Ford's designers tell us that one of the signature styling cues of the Mustang is a long hood to indicate power. I am in full agreement. Let's go back to the late 20s. Duesenbergs with their straight eights and Cadillacs with their V16s, they had long hoods, and that's where the power was. On the Mach-E, there's a frunk. There's no engine. There's no power right under that hood. So my question is, why does it need to have such a long hood? Is it just for styling alone at this point? Well, I think it is. So Ford, in their brilliance, decided to fill that frunk with shrimp and with hot wings. And that was a marketing example. And I decided no car enthusiast should ever eat food out of a frunk. Porsche has been doing frunks since the 50s, and they do not put food in the frunk. This is disgusting. Stop it. Put something like a cooler up there. See, that looks a lot more normal. That looks a lot better. How about something that's a little bit more aggressive? Bring those lights forward, and okay, we can put some signature elements in here in the headlights from the Mustang. Really high shoulders, a lot of muscle there, and really not a huge DLO, daylight opening with the side windows here. I'm just blocking this in here. Something like that. A little bit more sedan-like, but again, this could be a sports sedan. It could be a little bit of an off-roader, and depending on the trim configuration, this could be a safariized something. I like the safari thing. So, just a wheel arch here. This defines and moves right into the driver's door here. That lengthens visually the hood, and a high shoulder back here. And let's see, we need some kind of indication of an air intake up front. And the rocker is fine. It's just the body side is not as tall at this point, so we don't need to emphasize that quite as much. But these wheel arches, they say that as a tall wheel arch, they say something more about off-road capability, which I'm fine with. It doesn't have to be off-road, but it does have even a more muscular kind of look to it. The Mercedes S-Class from 2 generations ago now actually had more of an off-road look, the fender flares. I didn't think it quite suited the car, but for this, I think it could work great. The Mustang has never had an identity crisis. Tom Helmanzik used to shoot some videos for us, and when he drove the Mustang GT in Germany, he declared it to be 5 liters of American democracy. What would we call the Mach-E? I think that was a brilliant description of what the Mustang is. But if you apply that same kind of thinking to the new Mach-E, how do we describe this thing? I'm not sure. I want to have that same feeling in this Mustang, this 4-door sedan here. Again, Mustang cues, this rear quarter window right back here, and I'm fine if the roofline drops a little bit and intrudes on my headspace. I'm fine with that. Mustangs have always done this. Okay, maybe a tiny bit, but I don't like that point, that bandana, the scarf looking kind of visual cue there. And let's see, headlights here. Yeah, see, a longer wheelbase. The Model S does it, the Panamera does it, the Cayenne is 114 inches. The Mach-E looks just a little bit too long, but if it's a sedan, I think those proportions work. 117, 116, somewhere in there is the right look here. Give it a ground shadow here. I'm just, again, meant to be a quick sketch, not taken to full rendering. Let's work on this front end here just a little bit. Taking some Mustang cues, and since there is no air intake, how about a little bit of what the Mustang designers have already established? And that's fine there. Another small indication of an air intake and the front lip spoiler. All right, define that exterior, define the long hood. Again, let's not fill it with shrimp cocktail or hot wings, anything like that. Okay, and a swept back windshield. That way, it still looks sedan-like. Another signature element of the Mustang, they say, is a strong shoulder, which we can have, but I like it to be a little bit more flared through here. And then just a really pretty narrow DLO. Indicate some mirrors here on each side. Great. Okay, quick sketch. Very, very loose, very, very quick, just to indicate some different kinds of proportions, what this thing could look like. And what I'm thinking is, as a sedan, just a little bit in between. And this shape, again, eases us all into Ford's new thinking. But going straight to an SUV before anything else, it's too far for me. Start to refine the sketch, define that rocker here. And I'm just pulling what Mustang designers have already pulled out of the shape here. Okay, that's going to be a reflection there. Give it a center line. I'm fine if the SUV exists in Ford's portfolio. Fine, people will buy it. But to call it a Mustang, I'm not quite all there. Let's do something sedan and Mad Max-ish first. Bring it back. Very, very still aggressive in the front end. Very Mustang feel. Give it the signature headlights here. I'm going to really make this a little bit heavier. Okay, that's looking more Mustang and aggressive. Yeah, something like this, that air intake, just something to cool something down in there. Maybe it's brakes, maybe it's batteries. And bring that front lip spoiler down just a bit. Kind of interesting. All right, a little bit of reflection on the windows, a little just indicate something in there. And again, the center line on the windshield. This is getting interesting, see? More sedan-like, less SUV-like, but it can do both. And if it intrudes on the rear headspace just a little bit, aren't we all fine with that? All right, you're gonna want some doors in there. I'll give it some doors here down. That's a reflection there. Bring this back. Okay, and bring this down through there. Not quite so ungainly, hopefully. Do me a favor, hit subscribe on our channel, much appreciated. That will also tell me you want more of these kinds of videos, and let me know what you think. Is the solve here to be more of a Mad Max kind of four-door sedan that can do everything depending on the trim level? Is the solve to leave it alone? Is the solve to not do it at all? Leave me your comments, I'm really curious. Appreciate you watching. Cheers, everybody.